Unit 1, Interpersonal Relationships, Part 2, My Lost Dollar by Stephen Leacock. My friend Todd owes me $1. He has owed it to me for 12 months, and I fear there is little prospect of his ever returning it. I can realize whenever I met him that he has forgotten that he owes me $1. He meets me in the same frank, friendly way as always. My dollar has clean gone out of his mind. I see that I shall never get it back. On the other hand, I know that I shall remember all my life that Todd owes me $1. It will make no difference, I trust, to our friendship, but I shall never be able to forget it. I don't know how it is with other people, but if any man borrows $1 from me, I carry the recollection of it to the grave. Let me relate what happened. Todd borrowed this dollar last year on the 8th of April. I mention the date in case this should ever meet Todd's eye. Just as he was about to leave for Bermuda, he needed $1 in change to pay his taxi, and I lent it to him. It happened quite simply and naturally. I hardly realized it till it was all over. He merely said, "Let me have $1, will you?" And I said, "Certainly. Is $1 enough?" I believe. In fact, I know that when Todd took the dollar, he meant to pay for it. He sent me a note from Hamilton, Bermuda. I thought when I opened it, the dollar would be in it, but it wasn't. He merely said that the temperature was up to nearly 100. The figure misled me for a moment. Todd came back in 3 weeks. I met him in the train, not because of the dollar, but because I really esteem him. I felt it. I felt it would be nice for him to see someone waiting for him on the platform after being away for 3 weeks. I said, "Let's take a taxi up to the club." But he answered, "No, let's walk." We spent the evening together talking about Bermuda. I was thinking of the dollar, but of course I didn't refer to it. One simply can't. I asked him what currency is used in Bermuda and whether the American dollar goes at par. I put a slight emphasis on the American dollar. I found again that I could not bring myself to make any reference to it. It took me some time, I see, taught practically every day at my club, to realize that he had completely forgotten the dollar. I asked him one day what his trip cost him, and he said that he kept no accounts. A little later, I asked him if he felt settling down after this trip, and he said that he had practically forgotten about it. So I knew it was all over. In all this, I bear Todd no grudge. I have simply added him to the list of men who owe me $1 and who have forgotten it. There are quite a few of them now. I make no difference in my demeanor to them, but I only wish I could forget. I meet Todd very frequently. Only 2 nights ago, I met him out at dinner and he was talking, apparently without self consciousness, about Poland. He said that Poland would never pay her debts. You'd think a thing like that would have reminded him, wouldn't you? But it didn't seem to. But meantime, a rather painful thought, has begun to come into my mind at intervals. It is this. If Todd owes me $1 and he has forgotten it, it is possible, indeed, it is theoretically probable that there must be men to whom I owe $1 which I have forgotten. There may be a list of them. The more I think of it, the less I like it, because I am quite sure that if I had once forgotten $1, I should never pay on this side of the grave. If there are such men, I want them to speak out. Not all at once, but in reasonable numbers, and as far as may be in alphabetical order, and I will immediately write their names down on paper. I don't count here men who may have lent me an odd dollar over a bridge table, but I am not thinking, indeed, I am taking care not to think, of the man who lent me 30 cents to pay for a bottle of plain soda in Detroit Athletic Club last month. I always find that there is nothing like a plain soda after a tiring ride across the Canadian frontier. The man who advanced that 30 cents knows exactly why I felt that I had done enough for him. But if any man ever lent me $1 to pay for a taxi when I was starting for Bermuda, I want to pay it. More than that, I want to start a general movement, back to honesty movement, for paying all these odd dollars that are borrowed in moments of expansion. Let us remember the greatest nations were built upon the rocks on the basis of absolute honesty. In conclusion, I may say that I do particularly ask that no reader of this book will be careless enough to leave the copy round where it might be seen by Major Todd of the University Club of Montreal. About the author: Stephen Butler Leacock, 30 December 1869 to 28 March 1944, was an English born Canadian teacher, political and scientist, writer, and humorist. He was born in Hampshire, England. At the age of 6, he moved to Canada with his family, where he settled on a farm in Toronto near the village of Sutton and the shores of Lake Simcoe. Early in his life, Stephen Laylock turned to fiction, primarily humor and short reports. His stories, first published in magazines in Canada and in the United States, and later in novel form, became extremely popular around the world. Between the years 1915 and 1925, Leacock was one of the most popular humorists in the English speaking world.